Yeah, I'm no longer homeless.
You get it all taken care of then?
Yeah. Well, the primary issue. There's there's other tasks such as possible legal action that yeah.
Yeah. So what is it? I don't understand. Did you have like a? Did you have like a? Um, was it like behind the wall or something? Or
It was the root was in my AC and
oh, the AC. Okay,
ventilation system.
that's right. Wait, so it was in the? Do you? So your apartment doesn't have like just a wall unit then? It's centralized in some way, or
Yeah, centralized. There's like a closet that has the AC unit.
okay,
But they sent me like three different reports. One was like the diagnostics, another one was the air quality, and another one was something else. It was a pretty thorough job that they did, and pretty thorough reports that they did.
gotcha. Yeah, I feel like if it's part of your HVAC system, it's probably your landlord's.
You would
Should
think
be your
she's not
landlord's problem.
responding to my text messages, and I haven't been like aggressive, but she's not responding.
Hmm.
So
Well,
this is life.
yeah. So
Oh, the graphics. That's supposed to be like PC graphics.
that is PC graphics, I'm pretty sure. Or no, that's Five Nights at Freddy, isn't it? Or no,
I don't
what
know.
is that? Oh, those hands look like a Five Nights at Freddy's thing,
It
or
looks
maybe like
cool.
a bendy, or probably a jump scare game.
Oh,
But
you mean like Resident Evil?
yeah, yeah. Although there's been games that have tried to take like the jump scare and made it kind of like one of their core. I don't know, the core features. So there's a lot of setup, and then you get like some really big jump scares.
All right, I promise I'll resume our discussion in like 45 seconds.
That's right. I've never seen Wordle. Tell me how to play this damn thing. I've seen enough of that, but I've never actually played it.
I haven't played video games in a while. I met this guy when he wasn't when
Oh,
he.
he's playing Wordle. Derp.
Oh, oh, he's a
I'm
Rust
I'm
pro.
so like, what the heck's going on?
I just changed channels. This is a
Yeah,
Rust programmer.
yeah, but that's him doing Wordle. For some reason, I'm looking at it thinking you
Oh,
just
okay,
clicked
okay.
on Wordle. I was like, what am I? Oh my gosh, I haven't drank any coffee yet. That's a problem. Well, not that coffee wakes you up. I guess
All right.
the entire thing is that coffee prevents you from getting tired, or like it blocks whatever caffeine blocks the receptors that make you tired, but eventually those receptors do get those things if they're in your system. So that's why you get a crash partially.
Gamlor. Still thinking about Killer Instinct, Full Gore.
Fulgore.
That was my favorite character. Fulgore and
Fulgore.
Orchid.
Orchid, yeah. Orchid, yeah, I liked Orchid. Um,
Oh, it's not Orchid, it's Orchid.
I think it's Orchid.
Oh,
Orchids.
okay.
But um, I don't know, Jago and I don't know. I think Orchid was my favorite. I don't know that I really latched on to any other one.
I know something to share.
Riptor.
Oh, my Scott.
Played that with my son a few weeks ago on Xbox. Great. He gets really pissed if he doesn't win those. So
Oh, Killer Instinct?
yeah.
Oh, wow. Small world. Well, what would be the probability of me mentioning something that's like 20 years old and you were playing it recently?
I don't know. Probably. I don't know. Yeah. It was a
So,
popular game. I mean, I had it on Super NES, and then I had the Super NES Advantage, which is like a joystick with a button, more like what you'd get in a
Yeah, those ads are terrible.
once you get a God, what the hell was it? It made it like an arcade, thing or whatever. But they had these buttons that would repeat the button clicks for you, so you could turn those on. So whenever I was playing that, I would just set that, and then I'd be able to like do a lot of really fancy moves really fast because I could repeat the clicks so fast. I don't know. I liked that this thing too had a slow mo button, and what it would do is it would just press the pause button over and over and over again on repeat. So if you had slow mo on, it would just pause, 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 pause as you're playing. That's pretty
Oh
stupid.
shoot!
Yeah. Anyways.
So I uploaded another repo. This is Azure Blob Storage, but the name of the project is called Image Service. These are my operations that I implemented, or at least 99% of them. And all this is in preparation for me to take the exam for a third time, or the certification for a third time.
Mm.
So it's nothing special. I'm yeah. Uh, Sean, man, I'm uh, I'm trying to push through this thing. I'm trying to stay occupied, and it's not working. What do you do? You drink? What do you do?
What do you mean? What do I do? Well, I do drink occasionally. I haven't.
Keep your mind occupied and stay out of your feelings.
Oh man, that's impossible. Like you're working all day by yourself, remote. It's like all you're left with is your feelings and some sort of sense that you need to do work. So,
Yeah. Uh, do you have any strong opinions about logging?
about logging,
Yeah.
um,
For example, what's wrong with this right here?
with exception, return error, get base exception message, you lose stack trace.
So that's the recommended practice. Is just do exception dot hold up exception dot that.
No, no, I mean that you just lose context of what, and it depends on if the exception's even worth knowing about or noting. Um, so like my standard practice would be just to log it and then transform it into some other response. Although I used to try in C# to actually eliminate exceptions and just get into, especially within like the core, um, do like more of a functional style where you have some predictable response always. You're never going to get an exception, but um, even whether it's there, or if I let it go through, I would just send it to a logger and then um, send it to a logger and then return the error message as exactly as you have just first doing some sort of like logging for it. Um,
Mm.
and then logging in terms of like one of the things I've always wanted to succeed at and I've never done is to actually um, give like some sort of like code to every single exception or every single thing that I would log. Um, and then with those codes, assign like what could actually be wrong with it. And if there's something that you could take action on, like a run book, maybe I don't know.
So you have something like this, and then the implementation details of this log.error will figure out what to do with the stack trace, figure out what to do with
Yeah,
the low level detailed base exception message or exception based message. And it's just, yeah, the implementation details are just tucked away in here.
yeah. The only other thing
Do
I might
everything.
I would do, and it depends again a lot on the context and whether there's something, is to try to log as much of the context, because that's the other thing that you're missing when you're logging exceptions is, or anything, is the context. So
Wouldn't the
it's like,
context be the stack trace?
well, it would be, that's where it happened in the code. But let's say you have something, and this particular, and I'm not sure in this case,
This is called
you know,
container.
uh,
Download container is the contract that it's implementing.
yeah. So like the qualified name, maybe I might log what the qualified name is at this point, because it could be that that particular name is causing the problem. And so if you're like, man, I keep getting exceptions and it's here and I know what the exception is, but I have no context as to what was the thing that actually caused the exception to
So
declare.
so C sharp has records, right?
Yeah.
And but this looks like a record. It is a record, but it's more like
You mean V?
it's more like a property. Is it fair for me to call this a property extension? Okay, so
Well, that's a property, but I don't know what V is,
well,
because
yeah,
that's a
you're
string
right.
property.
You're right. It is a property, but it's not conventional.
Almost
Three,
was sort of
two,
like
one.
contain.
Ta-da!
Remember X type container equals 10ID container with member X qualified equals. Yeah, I don't really know what that means.
Yeah. Okay. So
Oh, so that's a computed property.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So okay. So this image service was meant to be like my attempt at doing providing a multi-tenant service for storing images. So a tenant would be like someone that has a account or a business that has some type of like B2B account with Beach Mobile, and they would be able to register their their products, their inventory, right? And part of the inventory would like be like photos of different equipment or food or whatever it is. And so this image service, any of them can like rely on this service. And with Azure Blob Storage, consists of an account, a service, a container, and then your blob. Hence, a blob can be an image, a video, a file, etc.
Hmm.
And so the thought process with this, where am I at? Thought process with this structure right here, this container request, is there's a tenant ID such as Tyrone's, I don't know, lounge chairs, and then this container is analogous to a folder of the images that he wants to store when someone wants to view the types of lounge chairs that they may consider renting from him, right? And but what I ran into is, okay, I have this quote unquote attempt at a multi-tenant solution in which I have a whole bunch of businesses that can store their photos of their offerings using my API, right? Well, how do I uniquely identify and give access to each business without them having a way to, what's the word I'm looking for, have access to other businesses information or photos. So at a code level, this was my attempt in which a container, which is essentially within Azure uh, blob storage, is like a folder.
Like a directory, yeah.
The name of the container would be the tenant ID and then dash and then whatever folder names that they assign, such as chairs or umbrellas or
Yeah.
radios, and then
Yeah,
they
that
would
makes sense.
upload the images of those chairs, umbrellas, and radios. I
I
think
think,
at a solution level, I would probably have to. It would probably make sense to have yeah. Now that I'm talking this out with you, in theory, for security, it seems like I would have to have multiple blob storage accounts for each tenant, and
No,
that
I
would.
don't think so. I mean, if you're controlling like there's some risk, but if you're controlling access um through a service, and the service is going to control, which blob storage or which folder that you're like constrained to. So,
Well,
because
there's.
your only real risk, unless they're uploading like documents that shouldn't be read, because in this case you're just uploading images and stuff like that, right? So the
Right.
only thing is
Well,
maintaining within that directory, or within that root directory, which should be your tenant ID, is maintaining all of like the properties underneath that, and you can constrain that using the service. So there's no real, you wouldn't need to do like go
um,
crazy and
yeah, but this is a poor man's implementation of isolation for something that is intended to be multi-tenant. I
yeah, but
think.
multi-tenancy, like you don't necessarily need like physical separation or whatever. It depends on like the use case and stuff like that. Like there are places where you would need segregated containers, but yeah, like actual, sorry, instances, but like this should not be one of them.
Well, remember the motivation is for me to retake my Azure certification. So in hindsight, as
Yeah.
I'm like articulating my thought process to you, I'm starting to realize that I kind of went about this the wrong way. If the motivation is to rely on a higher level Azure implementation versus me trying to hard code things,
No, no, I think this is like how you would
suffice.
use it. I mean, this is how you would use it. You wouldn't create multiple containers. Um, you
Yeah.
wouldn't create multiple Azure instances of blob storage, because it's like, what are you gaining? I mean, you're gaining some,
Higher expenses.
yeah, higher expenses, and then what are you gaining from it? There's not, I mean, there's separation in terms of like Azure blob instances, but it like you're not running code in there, so you're not really, the only risk you're preventing is that when you query something, that your code isn't going to accidentally dip somewhere as it shouldn't.
All right, so let's
But
let's
then
say
again,
that.
if you pass the wrong tenant to this, you'd get that problem too. So you're just moving the problem to your identity service or your
No,
tenancy
so let's say
provider.
that this didn't say image service and this said blob service, in which they can be uploading documents of sensitive information or confidential information,
Yeah,
etc. Would you still have that? Would you still say that this is okay?
yeah, or yeah. There's like
From a
what?
security perspective, no. There's nothing preventing somebody from maliciously finding out someone else's tenant ID and one of their container names and accessing their documents.
Well, so take it this way. So let's just say for a second, assume for a second that you do have multiple multiple Azure blob storage instances, and now are you going to spin up a service for each one of those in front of it? Because
That would be expensive.
at some point you're doing the routing to a particular spot, right? So if you're controlling it through your application, um, then I mean you're doing what you can do. The only time that you might need multiple Azure
Would that
instances is,
be? I didn't mean to cut you off, but very briefly, would that be like a case for using like API management where you already know you've already authenticated the client or the end user, and when they send a request, you can, before you actually hit the data store, you can make sure that their request still matches their tenant ID and not someone else's. Would that be a case for it?
it, Yeah, I mean, so you might have some like inventory or not like a catalog or inventory management type service, right? And you might it depends on where you're evaluating your tenancy and how you're doing that because like you're receiving a request and you have some identity service. I don't know what you'd be using, but some sort of identity service that identifies who's making the request. From there, you resolve the tenant that they're a part of or that they're in context of, and then you just limit all requests out there from tenant. Now, you might have a trust relationship between that service and this service, in that this service trusts that service is going to resolve tenancy correctly, and this is all behind behind like this isn't publicly accessible, it's only accessible to that service or other services. You might also have like this service be directly accessible, to some client, and then you have an identity service in front of it, um, that or some sort of identity check in front of it that resolves tenancy and constrains you to that tenant. So um, but let's say you had multiple Azure blob storage, right? So you'd have this service and you'd have it resolving tenant and then picking which blob storage to go to. It's really not different than just saying that, enforcing at a code level that you're constrained to this particular tenant folder. Um, the only case where you might want to do that is if you need to stand up an entire, like your entire stack for someone, or if there's other ways that you might get at data. Like SQL is a little bit different because like there's risk of, you might segregate into different databases to prevent, if one gets a SQL injection attack, it's not going to grab data from other people. There's also, maybe some, like you're sending out queries there, and so like one rogue query, you might return data from
Oh
a different
crap! Did I
person.
accidentally make you? Hold up. Are you still there?
Yeah,
Crap! What did I do? Oh, Sean, hold up.
I
I
don't know
can't
if I
hear
was
anything.
rambling
Give me a
on, but
second. I hit a key and I hit some key on my keyboard and everything stops. Hold up. Uh, I don't know what I pressed on my keyboard. Hold up. Can you say something?
yeah.
Okay, I hear you. All right. Okay.
So, anyways, like multi-tenants, like you might do it with a SQL database, have different ones because there there's some risk of like SQL injection attacks. So you're not going to get that in blob storage. So, um, I mean, there could be, but in this scenario, it wouldn't be it wouldn't be a good idea to do physical separation of stuff because it's just there's no point to it. Um,
Hmm.
So, like I said, it should be a rare case where you actually have to stand up a whole separate, like, vertical thing for for a multi-tenant situation, like a whole new whatever. Also, one of the other things is, correct me if I'm wrong. So in Azure Blob Storage, if you structure the pathways as like with a slash with a folder, does it um does it actually appear as folders in Azure Blob Storage? Or do dashes work that way too?
The
Because
dash. You
I feel like
saw? Are you saying because you saw dashes in my names?
yeah. So
No, it
so the
has nothing to do
hyphens.
with the path. That was just.
Well, I'm talking about if you're trying to go into Azure Blob Storage Explorer, like in at the Azure portal.
Uh,
If you have slashes or dashes, like one of them. Isn't there a naming convention where one of them will produce like a folder structure where you can actually drill down, find your tenant ID, then drill down to the folder name, and then subfolder.
I
If you
haven't.
structure it like that,
I have not read anything within Azure Blob Storage that suggests that usually whether you're using give me a second, whether you're using PowerShell or whatever CLI, it's just a separate property. and it's not a full path that I'm aware of. So you would specify the account as one property. The give me a second. The account as one, the account as one property. The container as another property. The image as another property. The forward slash syntax is within Azure Event Grid. You can specify, and I'm really drawing back from memory. The forward slash within Azure Event Grid is when you're applying filters. Yeah, I'm going to have to review Azure Event Grid, but that's what I do remember. Container client.
Yeah, never mind. So container names must start or end with a letter number and only contain letter numbers and the hyphen character. Every hyphen is immediately preceded by the following letter number. Consecutive hyphens are, if all letters are containers must be lowercase. Directory names. So if your account has hierarchical namespace, then directory name must be conformed to the following naming rules. Combination characters, two void names, and sequence of two. No. Okay, so that's the. Okay, yeah, I must be thinking of something totally different. I'm not sure where I put that together from, but I was wondering about that directory syntax. But I thought it was all part of the key name.
Oh, maybe I should put this down.
If you're in a hierarchical namespace, directory must blah blah blah, and then there's file. So
It's supposed to be container request consists of a tenant ID and container.
yeah, I think it's just part of your resource key. So you've got your container, and then that's right. So the resource key is a child of that, and that would have slashes in it for the directory structure. So.
What has Gambler been saying? Hold up.
He lets exceptional exceptions.
It loses the stack trace when
That's what I said too.
Well, when you log.
When you just return the exception error message as an error rather than doing any sort of like logging or whatever on it, you lose context.
For me, it
you
always
lose stack
depends
trace, but you
on.
also lose context.
For me, it always depends on what the exception is. Expected issue, the user can do something about pipes instead of return the error value. Maybe log the exception as info or dub. I don't know what dub is.
Yeah. I mean, it's like in this case, what would the exceptions be? It would be like, so if there's like a coding error or something, but like
if the exception is something that I do not expect, the user can't do anything, don't handle it, let it bubble up to the top of the application request, crash the app. No, you don't crash the app. You send an alert that something unexpected happened, and if the application is still functional, would it really require crashing it?
Well, you might try retries too, because what's the most common scenario would be probably unavailability in that scenario for an exception. So you could probably key into that specific exception and say, well, if it's unavailable, then translate it into something.
See,
But
Gambler,
if it's something you can't predict, then yeah.
Gambler spends too much time with Elixir talking about let it crash. That's crazy talk.
What do you mean, Elixir?
The language.
What he doesn't
like
time with Elixir. He's a Java and God, I can't remember.
Well,
TypeScript.
what inside? Oh, would that be Akka then within the Java stack of like just let something crash and let
I'll
the
let a supervisor bring it back up.
yeah.
No, he's talking about like that's a common practice is to just bubble it back up to the client as a like a internal server error. It blows up and then it bubbles back to the like, controller, some sort of root exception handler that then says, "Oh, this was a whatever error." I'll log it and then return 500 back and let the client figure
Okay.
out how they want to respond to it.
All right. So I guess I
Which
was
is
wrong.
fine. I mean, because it is an internal. If it's not something that you're predicting, it's an internal server error, and you don't know what it is. If you got a default logger at the boundary to handle it with some sort of default response, that's fine. Although, yeah, I don't know. I don't. You could do the same thing by just bubbling the error back up through the states rather than depending on the exception handler to do it. So. Um, saves you from having to wrap it with an exception later if you do want to handle it or try catch. But I don't know.
Yeah. So this is me being a misogynist. This conversation is the difference between what men talk about versus what's talked about on Twitch when you go to browse and just
Just
chatting
chatting.
and
We should just start doing this in hot tubs and
we talk about problem solving. Yeah, what is it? Uh, Tech hot tub or programmer hot tub, and you and I are just bare chested or hairy chest. We have to be in separate tubs,
very
and
good.
we have an overhead monitor as I'm showing you some F sharp. That's
AI
nasty
Trump versus
visual.
Biden debate. That looks hilarious.
Oh,
Oh
God.
man. So are they actually rendering like his voice and his face responding to the at the same time? Like this isn't just
Is that deep fake?
yeah.
It looks like it because it doesn't look natural. At
Huh.
least Trump doesn't.
Yeah, I mean I can't hear it, so I don't know what's going on, but it's pretty funny.
Wow. Okay. Oh, I don't have anything else exciting in my life.
I got a fishing tournament this weekend, but it's kind of sucks. I was hoping to have like if it had been colder and we had good ice, like the fishing tournaments, they have like an area roped off and they have a bunch of holes drilled, and then there's like a big tent and where you measure the fish and you drink drinks and it's a big party basically. But the ice is not favorable or not conducive to that, so they just kind of like open it up to every lake in the Brainerd Lakes area, and so it's just we're just going ice fishing basically with it, and you register all your fish on an app. It's kind of lame, but it's what we're doing. So I already paid
Well,
for the tickets. There's no refunds, so might as well
would you
try to win a big truck or an ice castle or whatever. So
would you ever take your family on a safari?
probably not.
Why?
I'm just not a big hunter. I mean,
No, safari.
isn't safari a hunting
No,
expedition?
African safari. I don't think white people in like a white family would have rifles and they just them and their kids are just gunning down. What do you call it?
What's it
Wildebeest
called? What's it
hunts.
called then if it's a hunting trip that's in like I thought that was called a safari.
I was talking about like going to a national park in the African country and watching lions strangle a gazelle.
Safari is an overland journey to observe wild animals. Okay. Yeah, I would do that, I guess. I probably wouldn't go to Africa though.
So you would bring your kids with you at the age that they're at, and inside of a Jeep that's open air with lions roaming around. For whatever reason, I can't understand why they don't jump into the Jeep and drag people out. Like I was binge watching like African safaris, and it's like it's open, like the Jeep or the vehicle, and lions just walk past, and it boggles my mind like they just don't hop in there and maul somebody to death.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they've seen enough of it, or maybe the people drive. I don't know. I thought that those Jeeps usually have like bars on them too. I mean, I've seen like animals jump on top of those kind of things, but and like lay down
So
on them. But
let me hopefully I'm proven wrong. Hold up. African safari. Remember a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I was like, man, when I'm streaming and I'm typing, I have to like take another second to make sure that my muscle memory doesn't type something else.
yeah.
That's when I paused. This is my work machine, so like I'm pretty good at not doing anything like that. Hold up.
Oh, I thought so. What do you mean your work machine? I thought you
This is my laptop.
personal work
I I,
machine.
I don't go anywhere suspect on my
Suspect on your
laptop.
laptop.
Yeah, but my phone, oh my God. Whew. All right. So I should have probably put in YouTube, right? Hold up. Can I say close encounters, maybe?
Jeez.
No, those are albino.
Hmm. I mean, they've got windows there, so like
All right, so those
we
have windows. Okay.
yeah, like we've gone to like there's a park in South
Yeah.
Dakota you can
So
go
this is
to.
what I'm talking about. Like it's open, dude.
Yeah,
I would freak out.
if there's a cat like a giant lion just sitting in the middle of your.
Like, how are they not shredding them or tearing them to pieces?
Well, there's fences and stuff, so this might be in a
It's
preserve where they're.
inside the thing with her.
Yeah, it might be in a preserve where they actually feed the damn things or something.
You're saying that they're partially domesticated?
Yeah, I mean, this looks like a big zoo. I don't know, maybe not. I said we went to this thing in South Dakota where you drive through a bear park. Yeah, see, they're feeding the damn things. Um, Look at that tub. It's a
Man, that's
tubby
a
freaking
fat
cat.
cat.
Oh, I'm
Man,
very
that
mad.
thing looks like he's a killer. I wonder how many bodies he got.
Probably not too many, because most of like the male lions are only there for like what bigger threats or something like that, or other male lions. The females do most of the hunting.
You don't think they kill for game?
I don't think so. I think that
I watched a lion kill a hyena or a male lion kill a
yeah,
hyena.
they protect the pride against that kind of stuff, but they
Yeah,
don't like.
like what prevents him from not jumping on the hood and just
They probably
dragging
have
that
them
dude off?
partially trained because look at that. He's looking at him like, "Where's my food? Give me that treat you normally give me. What are you doing here?" Kind of a deal.
That dude's just chilling.
Yeah.
So these videos, Sean, I can watch for hours without being
Yeah.
inebriated. I could literally just be
You're
watching this.
yeah, it's called death scrolling or whatever. Or doom scrolling. I don't know, you just get into a loop of watching
Oh
crap.
my God, look at this dude.
Hey, my kitty. Oh, I love you. This guy knows that cat though. So that's the that's got to be it.
Those cats are albino. That's
And they're
weird.
fed too, I'm guessing. This guy might be like a handler or someone who feeds them. But yeah, they're very white. Did you hear about there's like an island somewheres in Africa where the lions got trapped on the island with wildebeest? and they can't get off. But they only have the option for these giant wildebeest or whatever. So they evolved to be much bigger.
Yeah, I actually saw, was that Joe
I think
Rogan podcast
Rogan,
talking about it?
yeah, talked about
Yeah,
it. Yeah,
I saw that like a couple days ago.
that's pretty sweet.
So so you know me, I always talk about race. The majority of these clips are like white folks, but I would
No,
also
I didn't
expect
see that. There's like
the white folks are the
one
tourists.
white guy, yeah,
No, in every
one white
single one,
girl. Oh,
and every single
maybe
one
not
is
right.
white people
Oh, okay.
that are the
That
customers.
last one had a guy on the front, but maybe if those are the guys just driving around.
So my question is, how come there's not like yellow people? How come there's no Asians on here? Because I would expect like Chinese people are like hella tourists, man. They're everywhere, right?
Yeah,
But I don't really
yeah, there were a
see
lot in
like
Alaska when we went.
I don't see safari truckloads of Chinese folks looking at lions. You know what I mean? And they travel everywhere.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, that's scary.
I don't know. Maybe there's. I have actually no idea.
Can you imagine being a female lion and getting humped by that thing? Holy crap.
I would. I don't tend to think about getting raw dogged by a lion every day, but I'll put that on my list to think about it
Dude,
at night.
if I was a lioness, I would tap out after like the second stroke. I'm like, oh, I can't take it. Pull out, pull out. Ugh. I think that's funny. Yeah,
Oh man, your paws are so big. Jeez.
that's crazy to live life with no hands, and whenever you're hungry, you have to kill with your face.
Well, and your claws, I suppose, but
Yeah.
that's mostly for grasping. I suppose your mouth's doing most of
Can
the
you
work.
imagine every time you get hungry, you have to use your face to kill something?
Oh,
Like you have no hands. Like us, you and I, we could strangle something, and that's how we can kill it.
yeah,
Or we could build tools, right? Like a bow and arrow,
yeah,
which
yeah. I don't know. I guess
African
I'm guessing a
countries.
lion doesn't looks at us and goes, "Imagine if you had these hands and you couldn't just,
Well, I know they're
bite
jealous because they're
something."
like, man, these folks keep using like these little tubes. They keep gunning us down.
Yeah.
Man, that's not fair.
Hmm.
Uh-oh. Oh shoot. I almost terminated the stream. Oh, Gambler. Yeah, Gambler. We were talking about you. Oh, he's been back since 5 minutes ago. We were trying to imagine being a lioness getting raw dog by a lion and how we don't think we would be able to take it.
Oh man.
Nah, imagine being a female hippo. Yeah, that's crazy. So,
Ugh, or an elephant, man.
which one would you prefer?
Oh, how do
Being
so
a
like
female
whales
elephant or
are
female? What's that?
whales mate? So like, I mean, they're mammals, so I'd
Yeah,
assume that
but
they mate the same way. Like what would two blue whales going at it look like? They just like
6'9".
they just fly up next to each other.
Oh,
Like I can't imagine it now.
they
Like even
6'9".
dolphins. How do dolphins do it? It's like
You think
they're mammals, like right? Or what's it called? The manatees.
dolphins are pretty smart though, so they probably use in vitro like fertilization or whatever. Like
Yeah.
octopuses or octopi. I wish octopi was a word. How do they mate? Do they even have a penis?
I think that they're one of their tentacles is or something. Gonads or whatever. Yeah, I don't know.
No, we got to look it up.
This week on the Nature Channel.
Do oc I want to call it octopi.
Because birds mate by finding like this like cloaca or whatever, and then they like kiss. It's kind of like that's how they mate. It's weird. They don't have like wangs.
Do
Um,
octopus have penis?
they've got reproductive
Apparently, I
organs.
can't spell octopus. When removed from the male's body, this appendage continues to swim towards the female, attaches to her mantle, the structure behind their head where you can find their organs, and can be stored in her mantle captivity. Unfortunately for the male, he died shortly afterwards. What? Octopuses have detachable penises?
That's that they kind of go on their own. They
Hold
go
up.
rogue,
Hold
and
up.
then they die.
Let me share my screen.
Can
Hold
you
up.
imagine that? Imagine having to rip your dick off every time and just give it to your
If,
lady friend, and then you die.
if she's hot enough.
Oh, it's like a
I mean, that's why people raw dog to complete strangers, right? If the force is strong, right? So imagine this is supposed to be like a tech oriented like discussion, and this is what we've devolved to. Um, which of the statements is true or poo? Apparently, the females are 5 times the size of the male octopus and are partial to strangling and eating their male counterparts when they attempt to mate with them. The male Argonaut
Argonaut.
octopus penis is
Argonaut?
actually a modified arm. Oh, you were right. It's a modified arm,
Yeah.
known as a hecto. Dude, I can't say these words, man.
Hectocotylus?
Hectocotylus. Well, hecto means 10, right? No, 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 no. What is it? Hecto? Oct. Hecto is 6, right? No. What
No.
what what
Well,
is hecto?
Heptus 7.
Hecto is 10.
Yeah, maybe.
So what? So how? What? Okay.
Hecto. It's 100. Actually,
I thought that was centa.
is a decimal unit prefix in the metric system denoting a factor of 100.
I thought it was centa.
Well, maybe it's the 100th.
All right, whatever.
Hold
So
on.
known
Hecto
as
is no, it's 100.
man, can you
Centi,
imagine
I think centi means like a tenth, isn't it?
when removed from the male's
A
body?
hundredth. So centi is a
Oh,
hundredth. Hecto is a
oh, a
hundred.
fraction. No, but you have a centipede. That's not 100th. It's 100. It has 100 legs.
Well, it's 100, but it's each leg is 1/100th of the centipede, right? Or whatever.
Man, you're using
I
like
don't know.
okay,
Well, no. So then there's millipedes too, are like have a lot of
Mil-
legs too. But
milligram. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
it's not. I don't think it's how many legs they have. I think it's like of the being like how many. What is one leg in relation to it, which is 100th of a leg, or 100th of all the legs on a centipede is a leg. I don't know why they wouldn't have called that a hectopede though, or a
When removed
kilopede.
when
I don't
removed from
know.
the male's body, this appendage continues to swim towards the female, attaches to her mantle, the structure behind their head where you can find their organs, and can be stored in her mantle captivity or cavity. Unfortunately for the male, he died shortly afterwards. I don't believe that. That doesn't sound like it's conducive to evolution. So you mean to tell me a male octopus only has intercourse one time and then it dies?
Yeah, I think was it?
The first time it nuts, it dies. I don't believe that at all.
I think that'd be the way to go though, right? I mean,
No, it'll happen at a young age. Nah,
but then you just like it's over. Like you don't have to worry about anything
no, you want to
else.
hit again if it's good.
Not if you have to detach it. Was it praying mantises do that too? Don't praying mantis they mate once and then the female eats the male?
Yeah, and I thought like some spiders or tarantulas do the same thing.
Yeah.
The black widow. Yeah, I think you're confusing that with the black widow.
No, I'm pretty sure that female praying mantises do it too. There's probably a whole host of organisms that do that as like a standard practice because assume it's like you eat because then you like um, the value of getting their nutrients to support creating that next generation is probably more important than what other facets that the male could provide in that scenario.
No, so
So
look, so we gotta have the top three picks of the worst female animals to be when mating. Okay, so we understand that probably the worst male animal to be when mating would probably be an octopus, probably a spider, maybe a praying mantis. But praying mantis is an insect, right?
Yeah, well, so is this, well, a spider's kind of an insect too, right?
The worst female animal to be
Or
for
arachnoid.
for mating,
It's,
I would say I would still say a hippo would be in the top three. Um,
oh man, I don't know.
ah, I'm not sure if Komodo dragon is probably tame. They're boring. Well, what's Matt? A chimp? Well, no. You think a chimp mates like a? I don't even want to watch it. That's kind of borderline.
Dude, yeah, you need to go watch the Discovery Channel for like an hour and do some research on this and write a report. Ask ChatGPT.
A rhino, maybe? No, rhino probably seems boring too. Definitely a bull elephant. Definitely a bull elephant. Man, them things is like I heard they could lift like 20,000 pounds.
I think you'd have to set some sort of objective
A
criteria
horny
because
bull
all you're
African
doing is
elephant.
saying large animals, which would then be hippo, rhino, elephant.
Well, you said orca.
Well, I don't know what an orca mating looks like. I can't even envision it. I don't
I
know.
said 6'9".
Do they go missionary? So they're
Oh,
like,
I got it. I got it. A honey badger has to be one of them. Either that or a wolverine, a hippo, and
oh man,
mm, an anaconda. So,
I don't
all right, I'm
want
done.
none. Yeah.
I got to renew my S corp for this year. Every time I'm broke, I got to. That's when all the expenses come.
Yeah, it's tax season coming up here too. A couple months, month and a half.
You don't have an S corp, do you?
No, I had an
Or
LLC at one
translated, you don't
time.
have an LLC or anything like that.
I had an LLC at one time when I was working on that. Well, when we first started this, and I was working on that game box thing that I was working on.
Oh, you actually registered a business for that?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, wow.
had a Minnesota LLC,
And you don't
which
use that
you
to
kind
write
of
off
need
all your
for
business expenses?
yeah, well, because then I opened like a business checking account and stuff and seeded it with some money and all that. But um, I don't know.
As far as
It
I
was kind of
know,
fun to go through and be like, yeah, I've got a legal business. Now I get mail I get credit cards and crap in the mail all
yeah,
the time.
me too. Gambler says, as far as I know, quite a lot. If insects and stuff mate like once and then the male passes away in some form or another, yeah, it's not a good deal. But
Why
that's
wouldn't you want to go out on top though?
this is what I try to explain to females. Well, I had this conversation last night. I was like, you have no clue what it means to have a ball sack, and it's a 24-hour nut factory. It's ball sack is always producing no matter what. And so you want to know why men cheat? It's involuntary. All right. She still didn't understand it. So
Well, I think
silence.
it's isn't it just more in our natural like
Yes.
instinct to
Samuel said that we
spread
don't
the
have
seed.
7 billion people on this planet due to monogamy.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Uh,
Well,
and
you could. I mean,
no emperor, no king, no elder, no man that has ever had outrageous influence over a territory have been in a monogamous relationship. It's not natural. We work hard to have options and to spread our seed. So yeah, didn't you know he was like my height, a couple inches shorter. The Seals killed him. He used to always make mixtapes every like 6 months, talking about how he's going to f up the United States. What's his name?
Osama bin Laden,
Yeah,
or
yeah, him. Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
SEALs
he,
killed him.
yeah, he had didn't he have like
Person,
20 something kids?
yeah, probably.
Uh, that would be an interesting lifestyle. Like, what do you do for a living? I'm a terrorist. That's weird. Well, no, they're not going to say that because they sincerely believe that they're freedom fighters or the
Yeah,
resistance. So,
yeah. Nobody believes they're the bad guy. Not a single
um,
person.
you don't think like white supremacists believe that they're bad
No,
when they're firebombing someone's house? You don't think they're like? I think people know that they're bad.
they're not going up to the house with like their firebomb, being like, "Oh, I'm so bad," throwing. No, they're doing it because they have some sort of belief in whatever, and they believe it strongly enough where they're willing to do it, whatever they're willing to do. I don't know. I
We're,
guess I
we're
can't
talking
see
about an
that, but
organized group of people.
yeah, and that's even
So
worse because then
so
you have
ISIS, you don't think ISIS said, no, this is righteous?
they say that, yeah, they think that their cause is right.
So
They're
when they
trying to build a caliphate.
when they chain or tie a whole bunch of people together, put them on a road, and then take a pickup truck and plow through them, and that's their death sentence.
Yeah, they think
I don't
they're
think they ever
doing.
contemplate like,
Well, I'm sure that individually some of the people are like, this is gross, but or like they grow up, but a lot of them I
they
assume grow up
were.
desensitized to violence, and
Yeah, I get it, but they were pretty creative, man. Like they would throw people inside cages, take a crane, lower the cage that has the people locked up inside of it into a swimming pool and drown them.
yeah.
You don't think I don't think I no. People know when they're evil.
Well, I mean, think of it this way: like, would you
They get
feel
driven to that
bad?
point.
Yeah, would you feel bad or think you're evil if you did that to someone who killed your kid?
And that's a good point. No, that's get back.
Yeah, so you'd feel justified in whatever you're doing. And I'm sure that's how they feel. I mean, there's probably some people that are
Yeah,
forced
yeah.
into
It's
lives
like
like that,
okay, that
like
makes sense. Like when I
when you
have
get like kid soldiers that they make them shoot people and, you know, to just be like, "See, you've done it now."
is it
Get
you
over
think
your moral ambiguity. I'm sure that those people probably go through life feeling like, "Man, I wish I didn't have to do this," but I don't know. Hopefully people feel remorseful, but I think it depends on what their experiences are and if they have some sort of like feeling of justification for what they're doing.
yeah, but that stuff has to haunt them later. I guess if you're a human butcher and you just go through your life butchering other human beings, then maybe it never bothers you.
Yeah, and then there's sociopaths too.
It would bother me if
There
I
are
was
people
if I
who
was
have that shut
younger. It
off.
wouldn't bother me, but now that I'm older, like I get in my head, man, and I start feeling bad.
Yeah,
So
and there's sociopaths so that I mean they don't feel for people. They don't like have any concern for regard for human life or any life. They don't like there's a natural bit of humans where we're conditioned to do it because we survive in packs basically, so
so
there's an evolutionary advantage to it, but sociopaths,
like Vikings.
no.
I was watching or listening to a podcast where someone was making the argument that sociopaths are necessary for evolution.
Yeah, I assume that every variant of humanity is necessary for evolution. So I mean, because you're basically trying a bunch of different experiments everywhere, right? And the idea is that the ones that are better suited for whatever the conditions are survive, and the ones that are less suited don't. And
Imagine the mental illness that the Spaniards would go through when they would set sail, and what it would take like 3 months to get to like the western world.
Hmm.
Can you imagine being on a, I don't know, 100 foot, 200 foot boat, and for 3 months you're on that boat? I guess it's the same thing with being on a nuclear submarine. I wouldn't be able to take it, and I think they're going to find that out when they figure out the technology and the protection to go to Mars. I think they're going to kill each other before they actually
They'll
land
just
there.
put them on TikTok and just have them infinitely scrolling like this. You could
They they
spend hours on there and never get bored, man.
they would have to sedate them and then use electric shock to
Not if there's people
reduce
and
atrophy. You
not
knock
if
them
there's
out like a bear, like hibernation, and then you use electrical shock to stimulate their muscles so that they're not useless once they put their feet on the ground.
I
I'm smart.
suppose,
I'm smart. Can you
or like,
electrocute somebody while they're unconscious
yeah,
and still keep them asleep?
I'd assume so.
That's the solution to atrophy in zero gravity, when making that trek or pilgrimage to another
To
celestial
Mars.
body. Uh,
Don't they have like experiments that they've tried to do with people where they try to, like, you could sign up and it's to see like if you could live in a pod like that for what the mental effects of it were.
so it was Pauly Shore. He had a There was a movie that he was
Biodome.
in. Yeah, I'm surprised you even knew who Pauly Shore is.
Oh yeah, I know Polly Shore.
Yeah, I wonder where
My
he's at
grandpa was a
now.
big fan of him. So Polly Shore's trying to get. There's this whole thing going around where they want Polly Shore to do a biopic of Richard Simmons, the fitness guru. Because there was a short or something, I don't remember, but he looks like him, but Richard Simmons is like, what the fuck, no, like,
Richard Simmons is still alive?
yeah,
Wow, he has to be like 100.
maybe I don't know how old he was when at different times, but yeah, look up Polly Shore Richard Simmons, you'll probably find a bunch on it,
He
buddy. Wheezing the juice, man.
yeah, I see Richard Simmons in here, or that looks like Richard Simmons. I'm confused. Man, it's sad watching people age. It's depressing. I still can't believe Luke Perry's dead.
Yeah, he died a long time ago.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at him. I'm looking at Pauly Shore in the '90s, and then looking at him today, and it's like it's depressing, man. I don't know how to deal with aging, man. You're like literally slowly dying, withering. That
Yeah, here
sucks.
I've been just waiting and waiting and waiting for Son-in-Law 2 to come out for so long.
For
And
what?
Son-in-Law 2,
What's
I
up?
don't think they're ever gonna make it. No, that's one of Pauly Shore's movies, Son-in-Law.
Uh,
They just gotta come out with Son-in-Law 2. It'll be
I,
great.
I might have to watch that today.
Because it's what, Son-in-Law, Biodome, and then what's the caveman one? With
Well,
they've talked about doing a sequel to that. Encino Man. And In the Army Now was another one of his movies. That had Andy Dick in it, I think. And that was a pretty funny film. He was all over the place back in the day. God,
well, did he have a scandal? Like, how did he like get forgotten?
I don't know. I
I
think
don't
he just
remember
fell
there being
off.
a scandal. Maybe he had a family, and maybe he like Arsenio Hall just took a
Is
break
there
and focused on his family. I don't
There's
know.
actually a movie that I watched a couple years ago. It's called like where he faked his own death or something like that. And I don't know if that was like if he actually convinced people and just to record their reactions or if like because it was a movie, it was a whole drama about it like where he fakes his own death and then sees the reaction of Hollywood, but
I would assume the attention
uh
span is pretty short.
is it Pauly Shore Dead? Yeah, it literally it was called Pauly Shore is Dead. It was a movie in 2003. Oh my gosh, it's been that long since that came out.
Yeah, we're old, dude.
Man, 2003. That's like when I like graduated high school. It's like, wow,
Sucks.
that's a long time ago.
Back in my day, I'm depressed now. Did you find my dog? I told you I was searching for a mini bull terrier, and I can't find one.
Just look up
Puppy.
mini bull terrier breeders and
I can't find any in Florida.
want to go out state.
I'm going through it, man. I need one.
Mini bull terrier breeders. Yeah, go to the AKC marketplace. Let's see, here we go. What do we got here?
Can't find one. Imagine getting a honey badger as a pet and walking it.
They're all over the place, man.
I looked. I'm not trying to catch a flight and then pay $1,000 to figure out how to get it on the plane.
So you need one that's within driving to here, George. Well, no,
Man,
this one doesn't
layoffs
have
are
any
crazy
info.
right now, man.
What are?
Layoffs, tech layoffs.
Oh yeah,
I don't know how I'm going to get through this.
Connecticut puppies coming soon. Oh, 13-week-old and Mississippi and South Carolina, 6-month-old.
I can't find any in Florida.
Well, just drive up. Like what? South Carolina is like right north of Florida, isn't it?
I don't think it is.
Anderson, South Carolina. Where the heck is that?
And I'm on the southern tip of Florida, dude. I'm like, Florida takes a long time to drive through.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's a ways up there from you, but it's not like
Why
take
don't
a
you
big road trip. You could drive there in a day.
why don't you do it for me, man? And bring my mini bull terrier to me. You get to check out Florida. It'll be a nice road trip.
Let's see, what is your? It's just an 11-hour drive there,
Oh, okay, yeah, that's all.
but for a dog, I mean, I'd do that.
Dude, I have 8,000 miles on nearly a 2.5-year-old vehicle. I'm pretty proud of that. I don't want to put I don't want to put unnecessary miles on my vehicle. So I'm just asking you to do it for me.
I think it's a little bit farther for me. There you go, miniature bull terrier. I just sent you the link to it. You can go there and grab one. Puppy Finder is one of the other ones.
Did you I forget. Your wife works in healthcare?
She's an accountant, but she's works for a healthcare, small business or company or whatever you would call it.
You tell her what happened to me?
Yeah, about the
Yeah.
yeah, I told her. So then last night randomly she's like, we don't have black mold in our house, right? Or we'd all be sick or something like that. I'm like, huh?
I didn't have the sniffles. I just my stamina was just crazy. I didn't have any stamina, and there's a couple times where I just felt like I was going to lose consciousness, and this would be outside the house.
Hmm.
I like listening to Tech Lead. You know who Tech Lead is on YouTube?
No, I don't.
He's a philosophical Asian guy that ex ex Google, ex Facebook. He's pretty arrogant, but it's really funny because he's doing it on purpose.
Hmm.
I have mold poisoning, gambler, and I didn't realize that I was living in I don't know even how to articulate it. I was living with black mold and fiberglass spewing out of my ventilation system for close to a year, and I told a number of people. I even told Sean, like, yo, something's not right with me. Like, I don't feel stable. Like like I feel like I'm going to have a stroke or something. Not that I know what it feels like to have a stroke, but like something's wrong with me. And I kept on telling people, and I would go to the medical clinic, and they're like, "Oh, you're fine. It's all in your head." I'm like, "It's not in my head. I spent like more than 40 years in this vehicle called my body. Something's not right." And I happened to be watching a YouTube video, binge watching, because I probably spend 5 hours a day listening to YouTube videos. And one of them was on mold poisoning, and it wasn't like I searched for it. It just came up in my feed, and when they were talking about the symptoms, that's when I realized that maybe that's what's happening to me. And so I called. I had a inspection inspector team come to my crib, and not only, well, one is the smell started kicking in, and people noticed it, but I didn't. But then over time, I started picking up on it, where like my crib became inhospitable. I had to live out. I had to live inside my car. I was homeless for a day, right? But anyway, like they came out like Ghostbusters. They they took air samples in different areas of my crib. They they basically ran tests and hung black lights and discovered a lot of mold, or a lot of black mold, and a lot of sperm all over the walls, and that was it. So yeah, that was a joke, the sperm part. But uh,
Well, Puxatawny Phil decided that it's going to be an early spring.
yes,
So
Gambler, the
makes sense.
ventilation system had mold in it. He said Pakistani. Oh, he came out.
Yeah, he must not have seen his shadows, so it's going to be an
And
early spring.
this is Pakistani Phil 7. Like I'm sure Pakistani Phil isn't the same one from like 20 or 30 years ago.
It's just surprising me that Groundhog's Day is like is like on the calendar at all. Like that this is a thing. Like I just don't.
Who would win, Cape Buffalo versus American Bison?
Wait, what?
I'm looking at my YouTube. Who would win, the Cape Buffalo versus a American Bison?
Oh, I don't have no idea.
I think a bison.
Bison maybe. Bison are pretty hardy, man. I'd take a moose over one of those, but I don't know.
Don't bears kill mooses? Don't grizzlies kill mooses though?
Yeah, but grizzlies are at the top of the food chain. Don't like lions kill water buffalo?
Isn't a moose generally bigger or way more than a grizzly?
Yeah, but they usually attack the calves. They don't usually attack like.
Uh,
I mean, they do, but they probably don't try to attack the adults. Calves get eaten a lot.
oh, that would make the top 5.
But
Getting mounted by a moose.
yeah, what a big old brown bear.
Or
God,
yeah, grizzly too. That would be pretty difficult on the
polar
female.
bears are scary though. They don't look as buff or like as fat as the stupid grizzlies, but man, they're scary animals, man.
Well,
They'll come up and just eat you.
that's because we're biased. It's only
They're
because
just they're
we're
not
biased.
omnivores, so they
Uh,
just kill.
yeah, but Coca-Cola has convinced us that they're cute animals only because they're white. If a polar bear was black, I don't think it would get the same
Yes, because
fanfare.
teddy bears are usually white. Hey, congratulations on your History Month. How's it going so far?
Interesting. What? Oh yeah, when I asked you about soul food and you said chicken,
Chicken.
or no, you said KFC.
KFC. I like I said, comfort food and soul food. That was where that switch went wrong in my head.
That was one of the most racist things I've ever heard. Like KFC.
Well, I mean, come on. It's not. It wasn't racist
No,
intentionally.
yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I know it wasn't intentionally.
It's
It
kind
was
of
just.
like the people that drown people in cages. I don't think I'm racist. I just.
It reminds me of so back in Cleveland, I think I was at I think I was at happy hour, and I approached a colleague, and I was like, "Yo, have you seen Shu?" And Shu is he's like a Asian American. I'm
Mhm.
like, "Yo, have you seen Shu?" And like my white colleague, coworker, he points to a random group of Asians, and he's like, "Hmm?" You know? I'm
Yeah.
like, what? He's like, they all look like, I don't, is that him? I don't like, yeah, that's racist as hell. So, but I've done the same thing
Yeah. There
where
was.
like, I've been at a restaurant and like, it was like a Chinese restaurant and like, there's like Chinese characters. And I just walk over to like an Asian chick and like, yo, what does this say? She's like, I don't know. What?
Where are you
So,
from? No, where are you really from?
yeah.
Anyhow. All
Well,
right.
it's getting to 9 o'clock. It's
Yeah, I
been
probably should
real.
get going.
Yeah, thanks for the therapy session. A
Yeah, it was in
gambler, stay up. What time is it, gambler?
2, 4. Should be only like
What's
what
like 3 o'clock?
3 o'clock. Yeah, it should be the afternoon there, or not quite the afternoon because I used to work with UK colleagues that would be
Well, UK
like
is
they
6
would
hours
leave
away from us.
midday, so they're
Yeah,
probably
it's three
midday.
o'clock over
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
All right, well, it's been real. Thanks.
All
See
right.
you.
See you. Yep,
Bye.
bye.